Stopping services is an extremely important skill for a security administrator, not to mention for the Security Plus exam and some other computer exams out there. As an IT person, you should feel at home in the command line. Running commands, scripting, and testing network connections are all a part of a day's work in the computer world. From a security standpoint, some things that cannot be accomplished in the GUI can be performed in the command line, or can at least be performed more efficiently. I have Windows 7 running, and you can see I'm in the command prompt in elevated mode, and I want to talk services in Windows. Now, first, let's show the services in the GUI. There's lots of ways to access these. I love using the run prompt just because it works in every version of Windows, so that's the easiest for me. And we just go to run by pressing Windows R on the keyboard, or by going to start and run, or whatever you want to do. And we're going to do a services.msc and press enter to bring open the services window. We'll maximize that, and I'll scroll this over. And what I want to work with is the Windows Firewall service. Here it is, Windows Firewall. We can see that it is started and it is set to automatic. If we double click it to see the properties, we'll get more information, including the service name, MPS SVC, which we'll be using in the command line in just a moment. We see the startup type is automatic, and it's easy to change from the drop-down menu. And we see that the service status is indeed started, like it said. And we can stop it or pause it from here as well. I'm going to close out of this properties window and go back to the command line. And now we'll work with the service from the command line. We're going to use a couple different commands. We'll start with the net command. Net does lots of different things. But for services, we're going to use net stop and net start. And so to stop the Windows Firewall service, the syntax is going to be net stop MPS SVC, which is the service name. So again, net stop MPS SVC. We press enter, and it tells you the Windows Firewall service is stopping, and it has stopped successfully. That's proof enough, but to see it in the GUI, if we go back to the services.msc and refresh the screen with an F5, we see that started goes away, and we know it's stopped. Okay, back to the command line. If we want to start that service back up, it's going to be net start MPS SVC. And press enter. Service is starting. Service has started successfully. Excellent. So we're back to normal now. The second command I want to use is the SC command. Once again, with this command, there's lots of different options. But you can use it to start and stop services, just like with the net command. So if we want to stop the Windows Firewall service with the SC command, the syntax will be SC stop MPS SVC. And press enter. Now this time it's a little different. It tells you that the stop is pending. It doesn't give you specific information that, okay, it has stopped successfully. But I can guarantee you that this has stopped. If we go back to the Windows Firewall and the services and refresh it, we can see it is stopped. So we know that the service has stopped. We can also use the SC command to disable the service altogether so that it won't start if we restart the computer. And that syntax is going to be scconfig MPS SVC start equals space disabled. We'll do that now. Okay, so again, scconfig MPS SVC start equals space disabled. Press enter, and it tells us that the change of the service configuration was successful. So now the service is stopped, and the service has been disabled. So if we restart the computer, it won't start back up. If we go back to the GUI and refresh it again, we'll see indeed it is disabled. Okay, let's put it back to normal using the SC command. We want to put it back to automatic and restart the service. So the first thing we have to do is we kind of have to go in reverse order. So first we have to put the service back to automatic. And that's basically going to be the same command, but instead of disabled, just type auto. Press enter, and it says change service configuration successful. Then we can start the service with the SC command again. SC start, MPS SVC. Press enter, and it says start pending, just like it did before with the stop pending. But again, I can guarantee you that's going to start pretty quick. So if we go back to the GUI, refresh it. Right now it's showing the old settings, but if we refresh it, we see it is started and automatic. So that's good. We use the net commands, we use the SC commands, and the SC config commands to work with the service. Now, sometimes services can be a little troublesome in any operating system. And in Windows, if you have some problems with services and you can't get them to stop or start, one thing you have to look for is if they're dependent on other services. If that doesn't help you, you may want to look to the underlying processes. Processes can be stopped in the GUI and in the command line, just like everything else. In the GUI, we would do this with the task manager. So we're going to open that now and go to the run prompt and do a task mgr. Press enter, and I have a lot of stuff running. I can guarantee you that. A lot of memory being used here. But anyways, we're at the Performance tab. We want to jump to the Processes tab. And when we go to the Processes tab, we get a list of processes that are running here. And you can scroll down. You can see lots of information, lots of underlying processes that we could end if we needed to. If we needed to end a process such as the command prompt, let's say that was hung up, right-click it and choose End Process. Also, we can show processes from all users to get more information here. And this is going to show everything that's running, including for the service account for the operating system. Now, the problem with Windows Firewall is it doesn't show up here. You're not going to see it as Windows Firewall. You're not going to see it as MPS SVC. That's because it runs within an SVC host process. And you can't tell which one it is from here, from the Processes tab. But if we go to the Services tab and we scroll down to MPS SVC, here it is. We know the process number. We know the process number it's identified with, which is 1932. That's going to be the one that we want to stop. So we could right-click that and stop the service from here, or go to the process to stop it. So various ways to do this here. But you're ending up with a little bit of a lack of configurability. So again, this is the kind of thing we can do in the command line as well, and might actually be easier for you and less confusing. In the command line, we'll minimize this. Go to the command line now, and just going to clear the screen to give a little more work area. The two commands we want to work with in Windows are task list and task kill. To see a list of the processes that are running, we use the task list command. Task list command. But if we want to see a list with the services that are running, we'll add on the SVC parameter. So that's going to be task list space /SVC. And we'll press enter. And that gives us a nice long list of stuff that's running. Now, if we scroll up, and we'll look here, we see process ID 1932, MPS SVC, among other things that are running there. And that's running within one of our SVC host.exe processes. But see, I don't really care about SVC host. All I care about is the process ID. That's what I'm going to end the process with. And I'm going to do that with the task kill command. Gets a little grim now with the terminology. So the command is going to be task kill space /PID space and the process number, which is 1932. So we'll do that now. That PID stands for process identification, or process ID. So we'll press enter for that. And you'll see that it says it can only be terminated with the forceful option. So we'll add that on with the /F, and it tells you the process has been terminated. That's one way to get to the bottom of things. If the service is giving you trouble, it's not starting, it's not stopping, it's causing you problems, it's, the system's a little shaky, use the task kill command. And in this case, with the /F parameter or option. Okay, so that's a little bit about Windows services, how to stop and start them in the command line with the netstop and netstart commands, as well as the scstop command and scstart commands, and how to change the setting for how the service starts, whether it's automatic or disabled, with the scconfig command, and then also using the task list and task kill commands in the command line. Okay, now on to the Linux side of things. I have my Ubuntu desktop running, and I'm in the command line interface, or CLI, or CLI, if you prefer. And from here, we can work with services and processes in much the same manner that we did in the Windows command prompt. However, the command structure and the syntax will be different. We gave a variety of commands that you can use in the book. For example, to see a list of services in Linux, you could use the service space -- status all command. But for this scenario, I want to use the initctl list command. So we're going to do that now. We'll type initctl space list and press enter. That gives a list of services and their status. For example, my main network interface, ETH0, which connects out to the local area network, is started. And that's good because I can't do much without it. But the service I want to work with right now is udevmonitor, which shows as started. And it also tells us the process ID. Okay, go initctl list command. 2451 is the process ID. That's good. That's what I want. So let's remember that for now. It's 2451. Now, what do we want to do here? We want to stop the service and then restart the service, and then we'll show how to stop the underlying process. So stopping the service, there's lots of different commands you can use. For example, /etc/init.d, but Ubuntu is pretty good. They give you a simple syntax for it, and that's just going to be the sudo prefix, stop, and the name of the service. So in this case, udevmonitor. And we'll press enter. And that tells us that the udevmonitor service is now stopped, and it's waiting for additional commands. If we run the initctl command again and take a look at the services, we will see indeed that it is stopped, and there is no process ID associated with it because it is stopped. Let's start it back up. And again, the syntax is going to be very similar. It's just going to be sudo start udevmonitor. Press enter, and notice that a new process ID is given to that service. Now it's 2464. You have to remember that you have to remember that process IDs are dynamically assigned. Every time the service starts anew, or if the computer starts up, it gets a new process ID. And that's what we're going to identify it by. It's 2464. Now, let's say that you had problems starting or stopping the service in the GUI or the command line. This is less common in Linux, but let's say it happened and you needed to stop the underlying process. Well, we can do that in the command line in Linux, and the command we would use is the kill command. This is an ancient command going back to Unix. That is used to kill processes that are malfunctioning or causing applications to not work properly or causing them to hang or what have you. But the first thing I want to do is I want to show a list of processes that are running. A variety of ways to do this, but I'm going to use the ps aux pipe less command. So that's going to be a ps space aux space pipe space less command. We'll press enter. That's going to give a list of all the processes that are running and the process ID in the second column. And if we press enter, it'll show one process at a time. If we keep pressing enter, if we use the page down option, it'll show entire new pages of processes. And what we want to do is we want to go all the way down to the process that we want to work with. And that process ID was 2464. That was the new one that was associated with it. And here is the process. It's UDEV admin monitor. It's UDEV monitor. The name is slightly different. That's why I like to go by the process ID. So that's 2464. So we want to remember that. Now, I want to, let's say again, the service was failing for some reason. The application was hovering, whatever was happening, and we wanted to end that underlying process. We'll do that with the kill command. But first, I got to break out of this PSAux list. So I'm going to do Control-Z and get back to the command line. Okay, so the command we're going to run here is going to be the kill command. Now, we have to send a signal to the process to tell it to turn off. And that's the signal to terminal with number 15 is what we're going to use for that. So it's a -S15 parameter. And that's going to tell the terminal to kill the process. So the exact syntax is going to be sudo space kill space -S15, that's your parameter, and then the process ID, which is going to be 2464. We'll press enter, and it tells you nothing. And you remember that old adage, no GNUs is good GNUs. Well, I can tell you now the process is stopped, the service is stopped, and we can prove that by going to the init CTL list again. And if we look at UDEV monitor, we see it is indeed stopped again. And there's no process ID associated with it. The process is working properly, the service is working properly. So if we want it to run again, get everything back to normal, we'll do that sudo start UDEV monitor. And now it gets a new process ID 2472. Check it with the init CTL, and we see everything's running and everything's back to normal just with the new process ID. So there you go. How to start and stop services with just really the start and stop commands in Linux, and then also how to check the processes that are running with the PSAux pipe less command, and how to stop or end processes with the kill command. And that's about it for this video.